Hey everybody, Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses here with successfulblackwoman.com. I'm here with my good friend Ro Elori, also known as Ro Elori Cutno, and of course her lovely daughter Grace. How you doing today, Ro?
Good.
Good. I think I said the last time that our disclaimer is that there's a possibility of babies popping up because that's the lifestyle that we have. Everything we do from home, so it is what it is. But today the topic is something that you felt we needed to discuss and talk about what only a father can do for his daughter. So can you kind of explain why you thought this was an important topic to address?
I actually have had quite a few men who are fathers contact me to ask me what they should do when their young daughter came to them saying that they liked a boy or they had a boyfriend, and they are all very uncomfortable. But in our society for the past 50 or 60 years, we have brushed that off as being too overprotective or unrealistic if a father does not object, if a father does object to this type of behavior.
Right. Or too old-fashioned.
Or too old-fashioned, right? However, a lot of women I know who are older now would be happy to have had such protection. And I have 6 siblings, 5 of them are girls. And our father gave his daughters his expectations when we were younger. And surprisingly, we followed through with everything he asked for to a T.
Every single one of you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Every single one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommended to the father to just say exactly how he felt and what he wished for his daughter. And he asked me to, because men are not as verbally talented as women are. He asked me based on my expertise what I would suggest based on what most healthy men in the world would like for their daughters.
Right.
So I came up with a list for him, and the list became very popular in a couple of hours online on social media.
So are you planning to share some aspects of that list?
I'm going to share the whole thing.
Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, I'm listening, and I have my my little notes here.
Yeah,
ready to
first
go.
thing is, 1, your daughter cannot have a boyfriend.
No boyfriends. Okay.
And so to fathers, this is music to their ears, and lots of mothers are like, "Oh no, that's going overboard." But no, boyfriends just want to have sex, and fathers keep telling their wives that they know what boys want because they used to be boys. But they don't want to listen. They want to be out.
So if there's no boyfriends, and this obviously means that for their whole life they'll never have a boyfriend. They're just gonna court and then get married, right? Yeah. So if there's no boyfriends, how do they get to know other people and get to know what they might like, in terms of personalities and characteristics in the opposite sex? How would a girl go about doing that?
We teach women based on research and based on biology how to go about doing that based on traditionary customs, which are always based on human nature. Mm-hmm. So basically, we teach women that it needs to happen from family to family. And that sometimes makes westernized women uncomfortable because it sounds like an arranged marriage, right, which actually is what they should be seeking.
Right, because those are more successful than where everybody finds their own partner.
Right. And it's not just about finding, but also about the backing of the two families and the fact that there's a huge devotion on the part of the husband to fulfill what his wife's father and her family wants.
Right.
Also, these marriages have a divorce rate of only 1 in 1,000. So, and that's an international stat.
Right. So how do you address, because what happens is a lot of people function on their attraction. So you're attracted to somebody, and that means that you have to talk to them and you have to find them. You have to find out more about them, spend time with them, and you're really propelled by this attraction.
Yeah.
So what place is there for attraction?
That's a really good question, because physical attraction is to someone, and liking them mostly because of physical attraction is actually a very masculine trait. So if you are attracted to a man, that's normal for you to like him because of being physically attracted. But if that's your highest priority, that's very masculine, because men are visual and have an attraction. Women can charm men based on their looks.
Right.
Women should not be able to be charmed based on a man's looks.
Right.
That's not going to help you find the best mate to be a father and a husband.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So attraction does have a part, and attraction is necessary, but not to the extent that we have learned to accept.
Understood. So wouldn't you say, and I'll get off this point afterwards, because when I think of myself now, and as a grown woman, and I do think about, okay, what am I really attracted to? And of course, my attraction is focused on one person that I've been married to for the last 12 years. I do like the fact that he's intimidating, and that he's big, he's muscular. I love that about him. And if I was not with him, that is one of the things that I would find very attractive in a man.
But that goes back to the instinct of being protected.
Right, right. So I find that attractive.
Yeah. And the other thing is that it's a woman's instinct to be attracted to a man's ability to provide, to be attracted to a man's ability to be protective, either through his intelligence, his finances, his body. Those things are all different types of protection.
Right.
But also, feminine women should be attracted to men based on how well the man can and will allow her to nurture him.
Can you elaborate on that?
So, like, if there's room to nurture a man to some type of status or some type of stronger level of masculinity or some type of success, then that is one good reason and one natural reason for women to be attracted to a man. If a man is like, oh, I don't need you, I really don't need you to do anything for me, I just want you to be my wife and look good, then that's not a healthy situation.
Understood.
That the woman has something that she can nurture, because otherwise, what is he going to want from her? Considering the fact that most men on earth seek and want a woman for feminine nurturing.
So how does that play out with, how you always hear that women tend to be attracted to men, not necessarily because of who they are, but because of their potential?
Yeah, that's normal.
Okay, but people tend to say that's not a good idea because they may not, they may not be going anywhere. In other words, you could be projecting something on him that he is not, or that he could not be.
If they have a good upbringing, then they're probably going to go somewhere. Yeah. So family background matters a lot. How they were raised, their work ethic, all of those things matter.
Right, I agree. So no boyfriends. What else do you say a father can do for his daughter or impart?
So this list is the things that fathers need to be telling to their daughters. They would not. Wait, let me get Ife to help me with Grace. Okay. So the first thing is, daughter, you cannot have a boyfriend. Daughter, you cannot share your body with anyone until after you are married to your husband.
So no sex.
Yeah, no sex until after you're married to your husband. Daughter, you cannot get married until you're 25. or consider getting married until 24.
Mm.
It doesn't take forever. You don't need 5 years.
Okay. So why 25?
Women are not mature enough to get married until 25. And a woman's body does not even open up in her pelvis until 25 for childbirth.
Right. A lot of people don't know that is actually how long it takes for you to mature in so many different ways. Even your teeth in your mouth don't necessarily all stop growing. Right. Your brain is also
your reasoning. People shouldn't even get women or men should not even get a driver's license until 25.
25, right. And do you know how I know this, Ro? Because all the car rental companies don't rent to people under 25. And the reason why is those people actually are more prone to accidents. They're more prone to irresponsible behavior. They're like a kid doesn't stop having impulse control issues actually until they're about 25. So I wanted you to elaborate on that because 25 is a very critical age.
Yeah, very critical. I hadn't actually made the connection between the driving rental companies, but they do the research because they don't want their property ruined.
Exactly.
They will let other people buy cars and ruin their property and their lives. The other thing is that women under the age of 25 are extremely, because you can look at the driving issue and you can see how people can be reckless with driving under the age of 25. Mm-hmm. But women are very reckless with their mouths under the age of 25 too.
That is true.
Extremely reckless with their mouths.
Right.
And we don't have a filter until after that age, and we can't have selfless intentions to nurture a family until that age either.
Right.
However, the maturity of a woman starts to become very slow from age 25 to 35. It doesn't increase that much until after 35 again.
And the importance of, just from what you shared in our last segments, the importance of her learning to temper her mouth is that can be very destructive because, as you've shared before, one of the most important things is to respect your man. So if you haven't learned to control your mouth, that can be a very, very bad situation.
Not just that, like going off on people at the grocery store, going off when things don't go your way, saying things that you shouldn't be saying, just not being able to control yourself. Mm-hmm. We actually stopped letting women into our private groups who were under the age of 30. Because it was too hard.
Right. It just hadn't reached the maturity.
Right. But if a girl is raised with good intentions, mm-hmm. she can get married as early as 25 and be biologically ready. Mm-hmm. It's just that in our society, it looks like American women need 5 more years to mature sometimes.
Okay.
5 years of getting in trouble and realizing that behavior doesn't work.
Right. That is actually true. I'm thinking back to my own years, and I'm thinking that is true. I got married at 27, and I had some interesting first few years.
But imagine if you were married at 22.
I knew then that it was just too soon.
Right.
At that point, I knew I was too young, and I knew that I just couldn't do it. Right. Yeah. But let's continue. You say no marriage until 25.
Yeah, don't even start thinking about marriage until 24. And that is because there needs to be courting, not dating, because men have it in their mind now that girlfriends are for sex. Mm-hmm. You cannot get around that. If you tell a man that you are his girlfriend, he thinks that means if you look it up in the dictionary, it says a girl who's a friend that you have sex with.
Right.
So that whole avenue is only for sex, and that is not a step to marriage. Men will have sex with girlfriends so that they can prepare themselves for marriage with somebody else, usually.
Right.
So that's why that reasoning is there.
Right.
The next thing is that a father should let his daughter know. Can you get her? Let his daughter know that she cannot marry a 25-year-old boy.
Okay. I'm thinking I did see this post. I think you said he needs to be around 35. Men need to be about 35 to really.
35, no younger than 34, because after a year he'll have reached 35.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally it's 35, because men do not reach a level of maturity enough to even respect a family until 35.
Mm.
Before that, you are risking too much. You're risking a man not being able to control his anger, his body, his sexuality.
Wow.
It is not worth it. My dad told me that when I was much younger, and the more research that I did, the more I realized how seriously true that is. Many men keep telling that to women, and they just don't want to listen.
Right. You know what's interesting, Ro? When I married my husband, he was only 30, or he had just turned 30, but he said that he knew that he would never, ever consider getting married before he was at least 30.
Right.
And then, I don't mind sharing. I'll share it all the time. The first few years of my marriage were quite interesting, and it started to stabilize actually 5 years into it. And by then he was about 35, and it gets more and more stable as we get older.
It has to be that clear to people that it's not necessary to take 5 years to get stable. It's just that those years were necessary because of the age.
Right.
If both of you all were emotionally mature enough at that moment of marriage, that first year would have been completely different.
Right.
So I remember as a child watching Little House on the Prairie and asking my mom, why are these young girls married to these older looking men?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh, that's just science. She just kept saying, oh, that's just science. But it turns out to be for very, very good reasoning. And the 25-year-old woman and the 35-year-old man, they're at the same maturity level. It's not that she will feel like she's with somebody who's 10 years older.
No, that I know doesn't count. Not really.
And if a 35-year-old woman and a 35-year-old man were to marry, they would have to instill the same maturity level.
Mm.
A woman doesn't start to increase again over a man until after 35.
Oh, understood. Okay.
Yeah, and men do not reach their full maturity until 42.
Right.
So we say men ripen at 42, and everything after that is just extra wisdom.
I'm looking forward to 2017. My husband will be 42.
And then like the chances of any like cheating or anything, they go down tremendously. So why would you put your daughter through that when she's with a man under 35 who might have a really difficult time keeping his pants up? Why would you put your own child through that?
Okay, so let me put it all together. So for a young lady, it's not a good idea to get married until she's at least 25.
Right.
Yes. And for a young man, it's not a good idea to get married until he's at least 34, 35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So doesn't that then create a situation where men are having kids much later in life and therefore spending less time, because men generally die sooner than women?
But they won't spend that much time with the children if they're under 35 anyway.
Right.
They'll be gone anyway.
Right, because the kids will feel like something that's holding them almost hostage, right?
Right. They weren't ready for that anyway.
That's good point. Good point. Okay, so
And you know these dads that are like, and sometimes you have these men that marry really young, like the early 20s, and then they marry again in their 40s. They're like such great dads the second time.
Time around, right.
It's because of the age. It's not because they learned.
Wow. That is so interesting. See, I never think about those things at all because my parents were married very young. But I talk a lot to my parents about marriage now because I'm married. And one thing I remember that stuck with me is that my dad said that in his recollection, he says, honestly, I didn't really start to understand and appreciate marriage until I was almost 20 years in. And that's because he got married when he was only 24 and my mother, she was only 22. So he must have gotten to almost 40 before he realized, okay, this is what it means. This is what it's all about.
And a lot of our parents got married early and young. And a lot of women can say, oh, I've been married for 60 years. And guess what? I had to put up with a lot to even get to that point. What they're referring to is the cheating and the misuse and the men not wanting to be responsible and men not coming home at night. That's what they're
immaturity. The immaturity.
That's what they're referring to.
Wow.
And so as we become more conscious humans, because we don't have to repeat everything from the past, because the past is often based on need, like dire need. Like a lot of our parents were married because they were in dire need to like survive together. But now we can use a lot of information that we have based on human behavior to understand that there needs to be a maturity level for both parties in order to avoid a bunch of immature nonsense.
Right. I understand. Okay, so more from your list.
Oh, okay. I have to keep turning my phone.
Okay.
Okay, so the husband's family has to be quality, then ask for the father's permission. So these are still things that the dad is saying, requesting of his daughter.
So you're saying the husband's family has to ask for the young woman's hand in marriage?
Yeah, but this is the father telling the daughter his expectations.
Okay. Now, so that already puts up a red flag if a man doesn't have a family available to come and ask for your daughter's hand in marriage.
Okay, then he's not going to work. Or he needs to get a family. You can't come from nothing and create something. And everyone who wants to build a family is going to have one behind them. So if you have to have mentorship, professors from your college, even our organization, Roots of Royals, we do that for people. We create a family behind people who don't have a family behind them. So for a specific reason. Like we literally have a system where we contact husbands and wives to see how they're doing with and treating each other. And that's because of our system.
Right.
So, we, in that case, we would contact the potential family, and we do contact potential families.
Right. That's so interesting because when we think about family, we think of biological family. And that's why I brought this up because, the reality is that some people come from, dysfunctional families or families that fell apart, but they have the desire going forward to build something so that they don't have the same experience, or at least their kids don't have the same experience in their grandkids and so on. So that's why I thought it was important to ask, well, what if there's nobody for me? And I'm so glad you brought up, mentors like your professor or your uncle, or even a good family friend who has a solid family can stand for you as your family.
When we were growing up, there were so many children and young adults that adopted my nuclear family as theirs. They used that to their leverage to start good marriages that still work to this day. So I've seen that happen in that sense, but also that's also what we do for families, because for people, for individuals, because you need to have a backup system. And we don't encourage anybody to be married unless they have a family behind them. It's about two families merging.
Right, right. And then the other thing that you said that stood out to me was you said that you check on them. You know, once they build that unit, you check on them because they're almost like babies just starting out. So they do need kind of that initial nurturing, support, encouragement. And so can you speak a little bit about that?
They don't just need support and encouragement. There needs to be accountability. Mm-hmm. Both the wife and the husband needs to know that any type of abuse or misuse won't be tolerated because the family behind or our organization will not accept that. And you can be banned from our movement. Mm-hmm. Your certification can be taken. Your ability to make money as a mentor through our organization can be taken. So it can affect a lot of things that people don't want to happen to them.
Right.
Which is good because if we were a royal family in England, you have to answer to that the exact same way. You don't want to mess up and lose your title, your crown, or your inheritance.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I think that people really discount how important that is because even with good intentions, there still does need to be a checks and balances system where you know that somebody's watching or there's somebody who you're answerable to.
Especially men. Because
they, I think you mentioned in a different segment that it's so important before a man marries a woman to see her family and how they love her and how they treat her well and all these other things. So those people are giving him an example of what their expectation is for their daughter.
When women come through our program, it's vigorous. They have to be very thorough. We have a test after wife school, which they need to receive a 100 on the test in order to pass. And it's not a multiple choice test. You have to literally send in charts, and it can take anywhere from 2 months to a year.
Wow.
And so when women go through that and they come into our system, we can honestly say to the men, listen, she is very well trained. Family, like how to be a wife, how to nurture for generational success. This is not somebody to treat any type of way. She's a part of our family.
Right. Understood. Very important. Do you have more from the list?
Yep. A lot more. Okay. Number 8, she can live at home until married.
She can or she should?
She can. And she should.
Okay.
Now, think about dating. Not dating, but courting. Mm-hmm. Think about courting a man and having him know that he has to come to your father's home to pick you up.
Right.
Think about how many men are not going to feel comfortable doing that and what types of men those are.
Right. Based on their intentions, right?
Based on their intentions. And also think about how they may adjust their intentions and their behavior based on the fact that they have to go ask permission from the father. Because TV shows that men don't care. Boys don't care. They're still going to take the girl. They're going to act nice to the dad's face, and then they're going to disrespect the girl when they're away from him. But that's not true.
Right.
That's not man code. In man code, men want other men to be proud of them. Men want other men to respect them. It's one of the main reasons why men view respect as love, because when a woman respects a man a certain way, then other men respect him and give him more opportunity and hierarchy. So that respect that they're seeking, it does. If a man has to pick up a girl because she lives at her parents' home, it's a very great filtration system and a very great way to protect your daughter.
Right. So does this apply to all men, or you're talking about decent men? In other words, will a rascal come and then see that your dad is there and then stop being a rascal and treat you right? Or if he's a rascal, he's just a rascal?
If you mean the dad?
Yeah.
If the dad is demonstrating that he's serious about these things, then it will cause the boy or man to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. He will mimic that, right? But you have a lot of dads that are not taught this way. And hopefully they can learn from this this call.
Or they're just not there, Ro.
Or they're
just not there.
I had some people contact me saying that their father and mother insist that they work and pay bills, and they're only like 20 years old.
Mm.
You know, they're like, if you're in this house, you're going to work. That's something you say to a boy.
Right.
You know, girls should be, if a girl wants to work, she should be able to save her money so that when she's married, she has extra secret money, which is an international international standard of how girls are supposed to be financially after they get married.
You know, a lot of people don't understand, in a lot of African cultures, you know, there's lots of countries in Africa, but I'll speak for my country, is that one of my uncles, my older uncles, explained to me that dowry was not what it is, or at least what it was intended is sometimes misused. But the intention for it at the time was, if you wanted a girl's hand in marriage, you had to pay money. So people looked at it, oh, he's buying her. No, that actually went to that secret fund that you're talking about. That money would be put away for her in case her husband passed away, or in case anything happened, that she would have that financial security, and she would not immediately be thrown into poverty or into a destitute situation. Yeah. So that standard is there, even if it's not a big pile of money. It's some money that offers her some financial security, so that it actually makes it easier for her, if she wants to not work and to be financially dependent on her husband. And if her dependence on him goes away for whatever reason, she's not destitute.
If she needs to leave, she has money to leave.
Right.
You know, if it's an emergency, if he's not there,
mm-hmm.
Things can happen. And so that's security. This secret money is a tradition.
Right.
It's called something different, but this is an international tradition in almost every African country, all over Asia, in India, in the Middle East. But in America, we're like, oh no, women are supposed to be on their own. That's not how this goes. And then we take the engagement ring and see that as some type of form of security. But, you know, the engagement ring is supposed to represent 3 months of salary on the man's part.
Mm-hmm.
But that was made up by the jewelry manufacturer.
Right.
It's not actually right.
For their benefit, yeah.
For their benefit. Because when it's time for you to have an emergency, what are you going to do with the ring immediately? And it's almost never worth what people think it's worth anyways.
Right.
So when we're talking about a girl living at home with her parents, if she wants to work, her money should be saved for her secret money.
Right.
If her husband wants to give money to her family, that can add to that. If her father is also supposed to save money for her secret money. In Japanese culture, you don't do anything without giving money. You give something. You just keep giving and giving and giving. Mm-hmm. If you go to a wedding, you give money. If you go to a funeral, you give money. And I'm talking sometimes $10,000. But us, we have a lot to do. We have a lot to adjust, because this type of group economics is what makes generations successful.
Right. But the thing, Ro, is I'm always going to play devil's advocate here. I think that some people can't even imagine that, because a lot of people are in situations where, you know, they're barely making it financially. So the idea of putting away money somewhere is almost foreign to them.
It's only right. If you can buy your child a Happy Meal, then you have made a wrong decision.
In other words, take that little $5 or $10 and put it away. So we're not saying big amounts. We're just saying however much.
Do what you can, and that's your goal. You're a parent.
Right.
You know, I'm pretty sure you cannot buy Happy Meal with food stamps. You actually have to pay your own money. And I'm pretty sure it costs at least $5. Mm-hmm. And that $5, and I know how much parents spend on children of all financial backgrounds, buying things that they sincerely do not need. and then claiming that they don't have any extra money. It's not the fact that they don't have any extra money. It's the fact that they don't manage money very well. And they see small amounts of money as having no value.
Right. Or the priorities are, are skewed, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to point out that, yes, I'm saying they, because that's not how I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud to say that that's not how I live. And if you don't want to be they, you can change your lifestyle.
Right.
You literally, if people with enough, she can't come. With enough group dynamics, everyone literally can have money together in a large enough group. She is trying to get in this video so bad.
Maybe we should let her and she'll be quiet.
I'll give it a second. Does she have a pacifier? Okay. With enough people participating, even if it's just 3 people participating, a child can have $20 a month saved. That's $120.
By the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
$240.
Right.
$240 for the end of a year. And then if you start adding that up for the course of 25, 30 years, that's something.
Right.
That's something. But blowing it all every month is very bad parenting.
Yeah.
You don't have it. If that's $5 extra that you thought you had, you don't have it. It's just 5.
Right. I understand. Right. I just want to proactively kind of answer questions that come up.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So, then number 9 is a father should always tell his daughter that he will be there to make sure that her husband is treating her well. And then that he should save money, like we were referring to before. Save money for her and put it in a secret bank account for added security. He also needs to let her know that she should be dressing and carrying herself as if she is her future husband's wife.
Yes. Can I go back a little bit to where the father is making sure that the husband is treating the daughter well? So there would have to be several conversations between the father of the daughter's father and the husband, and establishing some kind of expectations. And is that what you're saying, or am I not getting it?
No, I mean, those things are obviously needed, but I'm referring to the father letting the daughter know that he is her backup system.
Okay.
Okay. And then that it's important for the father to demonstrate to his daughter his level of protection for her regularly, to teach her how to make passive income, to make sure that she doesn't think that she has to work, and that he should have a dinner date with her regularly, at least monthly, where he hugs her and compliments the way that she looks. If you don't compliment a way that a girl looks, then she needs somebody just to do that. The way that she looks, her intelligence. You say pretty and beautiful, so that she can get used to those words. Because girls are fine with being beautiful, but they also would like to know if they're pretty. And that needs to happen from their dad. I mean, I know some women. I'll give a really good example. Al Roker. You know Al Roker's wife?
The weather guy.
Yeah. His wife is a pretty woman who obviously has been told she was pretty since she was a little girl. According to American standards, she's just average. But she carries herself in such a way that most men don't see that average. Because of her father. You can see it in her. It happens to women. You can see that with a lot of women based on the way that they carry themselves, And these things cannot be instilled into a girl from her mother.
Right.
Adoration needs to come from a man, and it needs to come from a father.
Right. It's interesting to note, Ro, that you will often find that women who haven't had that same experience of an adoring father and a loving father who really, really built his daughter up, when they come across a woman who has had that, they view her almost negatively, like she's snobbish or she's arrogant or she's some kind of way that she actually isn't. It's just so different from what they're used to.
Yeah, but there needs to be more of a studying of a woman like that, so that a woman who's not used to it can become that, so that her daughters, or at least assimilate to that as much as possible, so that when her daughters watch her, it's 100% authentic. That's the least she can do.
Right.
All parents are not going to be able to have great backgrounds. Most Black people in America do not come from a good background. But in order to change that story for your family, you need to fake it and practice it and try to make that your reality as much as humanly possible, until your children think that it is normal, mainstream treatment and behavior. That's the least you can do.
You're right.
And sometimes that's the best you can do. But I also want to add that with these particular requests from a father to a daughter, it is so deeply ingrained in a daughter if a father reaches her daughter with these requests early enough, anything under the age of 20 or before she's sexually active. It is so deep. She wants to please him so much that you almost have a complete guarantee that it will happen. The mother cannot do that. She can't. She can give her request, she can verbally try, she can verbally ask, but there's no adoration piece that's making the daughter want to please the mother. And she's not able to give the daughter the masculine love that she needs in order to sustain herself for the 25 years before she gets married.
Right.
This is one more reason why women need a husband. We keep saying over and over again that women need husbands, and a lot of people don't understand why we say that. But this is another very strong reason why you need a husband, because your daughters need to see the husband be your husband and to have that have a father like that. And even if there's a man who's not actually like that and is not already thinking in these terms, he can learn that this is what we all need. If he's willing to even say this to a girl with a straight face, then we have a good start.
So this will be my last question. So if I'm a woman who, say, is 25 or have already reached the age of 25 and beyond, I didn't get that loving, adoring father. And I just didn't. But I have that desire going forward to find a good mate. And I recognize that I didn't have all the things that you're saying that would prepare me. What's your message to that woman?
She needs to create this image as much as she can for the men going forward in her life to believe and see that she's adored like that. There are a lot of women that go into relationships with men and they spill their guts. They talk about every single thing in their past, about all the people who didn't treat them right, all the people who didn't value them right, hoping that the new man sees them in a different light. But that's not how men operate. Men copy the treatment of the men before you.
Wow.
In order to erase it, you literally have to change your story, put different people behind you. Change your reality of who you think about yourself. It takes some effort. It takes some learning. You know, people have been confused lately about why we have mentorship. What is that for? The reason we have mentorship is to help people reprogram themselves in a very healthy way and model their whole persona.
Right. Right.
You know, you're literally going to have to give yourself a family makeover if you did not come from a family that you want to be repeated.
Right. And it's interesting to note that once a woman is over the age of 25 and maybe she's 30 or 35 or whatever it is, she actually is going to have a story. If she didn't have that good role model or good role models in her family background, she is going to have that story of mistreatment or choosing the wrong person or the person not treating her the way
she would be married already.
Right. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is that it's important to recognize that there is a way to reshape your experience and not accept the fact that, oh, you know, I've run into 10 dogs already and I'm not willing to sacrifice myself or put myself in that position anymore because, oh my God, they're all horrible. I know because I did it, I tried and it didn't. And I think it's so important and so empowering to hear from you say that actually there was a pattern of behavior and experiences that brought you to the position that you're in. And there's a new pattern of experiences and behavior that you can create. And you're also saying, I know exactly what it is, and here's how. And also, there will be a person to guide you and coach you through that process.
We literally are like, okay, first things first, your Facebook page. You need to change this, and this. The other thing you need to do is change this, and this. Your earrings are wrong. Your hair is wrong. Your eyebrows need to be like this. I'm sorry, but you have to work on your voice a little bit. Just practice. Okay, now we're going to send you on a couple of days and I want you to do this with your femininity and take out this. And, you know, it is literally very specific, one-on-one needed coaching as if you have a new mother.
Right, yes. I don't know if I shared this with you, Ro, but some years ago, I think it was back in 2008 or 2009, I actually went to wife school. Not your wife school, but another wife school. And it was so interesting when I first started it. The good thing was I went in with an open mind and thought, okay, I'm doing it wrong. So let me hear from somebody who's going to tell me how to do it right. And it did require me being open to change, an opening to function differently. And that's why I often share, I put status updates and I'll say, a lot of women who don't see success in anything, whether it's in your business or in your personal life, are the people who have that thought pattern of, this is who I am, or this is how I am, and don't ask me to change. Well, who you are and what you are right now is creating your circumstances and the experience that you're having. So if you don't like the circumstances and you don't like the experience that you're having, then at least open yourself up and open your mind to functioning differently. But you still remain the same person in your core. Your heart is still the same and the core of you is still the same. It's just the way you're functioning.
Yeah, you just can look at yourself as blossoming.
Into your best self or a better version of yourself.
Right. Polishing.
Right. I think that's important because people think that you're asking women to be something that they're not or to change to a different person.
A beautiful gourmet meal and present it to somebody on the top of a garbage can top. Nobody wants to eat it.
Right.
Presentation is important.
At least no self-respecting person wants to eat it, right?
Oh, I mean, presentation. And who does want to eat that? Presentation is important. Your voice is your presentation. Men are very, very visual. We don't think that they're shallow because they're men, just because they're visual. We want to go with it. And one of the main reasons we want to go with understanding that men are visual and placing ourselves in a space where we can have our looks be very openly appealing is because we want a lot of choices. We want a lot of choices. We're not saying you have to look like a 10 all day at home. We're saying the more choices you have, the more choices you have. That's good.
Right. Well, this has definitely been a very enlightening and informative conversation. I want you, Ro, to give you an opportunity to just speak a little bit about if I was a person who was interested in getting more coaching, mentoring, learning about the wife school, what would I do or where would I go?
Okay, so you can contact us at any time for anything at rootsofroyals.com. And from there, it is very important to have a mentor. Your mentor is a person who says, okay, because we can't answer all of your 1,000 million specific to you questions. I can't. Mm-hmm. But the mentors have been trained by me for several years, and they don't give their opinions. They help everyone to understand our methods based on our research. Mm-hmm. They are there to guide each person through every single needed step. And so that we can pass the movement down from woman to woman and have more healthy, generationally successful Black families. Mm. But also, the mentor program requires that women pay out $39.99 a month. Mm-hmm. For the purpose of supporting the mentor so that she doesn't have to work all the time and not be focusing on her family and the people that she mentors. Mm-hmm. When a woman becomes a certified wife, if she wants to, she can become a mentor. So it passes on to her later on so that we can continue with the movement. It is very fulfilling, feminine, and non-stressful to be a mentor.
You know what I wanted to do, Rose? I wanted to point out that people don't seem to know the difference between passive income and working. Because I keep hearing people say, well, Rose says women shouldn't work, but she works. And they don't get that there's a difference between working a job, especially one that requires you to leave your house every day and drive to a building, as opposed to building something that creates a passive income.
Right. There are a few differences. One of the main differences is that you are serving somebody else's family when you go to a job. Mm-hmm. And usually that family has a stay-at-home wife.
Yep. Yep.
While you're over there.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the difference in schedule. If you have to be somewhere at a certain time, then you cannot put your family first. You can't.
Right.
I am able to be with my children and with my husband at any moment that I feel like it. Mm-hmm. I'm with my children 14 hours a day since they were born. I spend at least 45 hours a week with my husband alone. That's because I don't work. Mm-hmm. So, and also passive income means that I'm giving about 10 hours a day of my time so that I don't have to pull from my femininity, because stress is going to make me masculine.
Right.
And so that I don't have to pull from my family. I can focus on them. And every mentor who comes after us can focus on their family too. We don't even allow them to have a high number of women that they mentor, because we want them to be able to practice what they preach. And we want lots of good, successful families.
Right. Right, understood. Well, thank you so much, Ro. I appreciate having this conversation with you. And I want to let our viewers know that you and I have decided that I guess we're going to make it, whether it's the Tuesday that we get together, it's going to be Tuesdays with Ro or Wednesdays with Ro, whatever day Ro decides to.
I know, I can't say in advance.
Whatever day it is the day it is. One week it may be Tuesdays with Ro, another week it'll be Wednesdays with Ro, whatever it is. But I'm so happy and so grateful that you've decided to be a regular guest on my show and share so much, I believe, wisdom, information that is so necessary. One of my very, very important messages has been that in order for us to survive as Black people, especially in America, is to build strong families. So it always pleases me to meet somebody who is also dedicated to the upliftment and the building of Black families, not just for us, but for generations to come. Because I always say what you do today echoes in
That's the power.
Right.
You have no power if you don't have a family behind.
Right. So it's so important that we, share this message and continue to share. So I'm so grateful to you, Ro, for sharing your time. And I know there's a lot of little people over there demanding your time as well. So thank you for that. And I want to tell everybody again, just repeat that what Ro said. If you would like to find out more about Ro, about her book, about Wife School, about mentoring, coaching, anything to do with building the Black family from her perspective, it's at rootsofroyals.com. Royals. It's actually on our recording. At the bottom is my name. It says Roots of Royals. So it's rootsofroyals.com.
Most people forget the S, but we couldn't do it without an S because it couldn't be just one royal.
Right. Rootsofroyals.com. And to find out more about me, I'm at successfulblackwoman.com. And again, thank you, Ro, and thank you, Grace. I'll talk to you guys next time.
You want to say hi?